do our PC invocation. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All right, so we are reading from the Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 5, the glories of Nityananda Balaram. And according to my bookmark here, we are on text 172.
172, okay.
Yeah. So, do you remember what's happening?
Yes.
What?
Lord Balram, the same thing happened. Like how Balram.
With Ramahashana Sutta?
Yeah, and he killed him, so same, now he's gonna say, he's gonna reveal.
Yeah, so what's happening is that
he did not pay
Gunarnava Mishra, the Pujari, the Brahmin Pujari at the house of Miniketana Ram, did not offer, the house of Krishna's Kaviraj didn't offer respect to Miniketana Ram, and then Miniketana Ram got angry. Okay. So the point is here that he didn't become angry for himself, but he became angry because he understood that the reason that this Brahmin didn't respect him was because he didn't respect Lord Nityananda. Okay, so at the end of the text 172. Utsavante Gelatinha Kariya Prasada Mora Brata Sane Tanra Kichu Hailavada. At the end of the festival, Miniketana Ramdas went away, offering his blessings to everyone. At that time, he had some controversy with my brother. And there was going to be some conflict there in the household. Well, you have the book. You have database or something on your.
You can.
Okay, yeah, you can access it on your.
Okay, thank you.
So we usually we'll read the Bengali and then we'll go around and have everyone read and Zoom people read it. Sri Caitanya Prabhu Tanra Sudvida Vishvasa Nityananda Patitanra Vishvasa Abhasa. Go ahead then, Karan, 173.
Okay.
No, just the English translation.
Okay. My brother had firm faith in Lord Chaitanya, but only a dim glimmer faith in Lord Nityananda.
Yeah, so that was the problem, right? Is that he had faith in Lord Chaitanya, but not in Lord Nityananda. So he didn't respect Lord Nityananda nor Nityananda's disciples. And yeah, Miniketana Ram was not happy about that. Iha Jani Ramadase Duka Haiva Mane Tabeta Bratare Ami Karinu Bhartsane.
Knowing this, Sri Ramdas felt unhappy in his mind. I then rebuked my brother.
Yeah, so Krishna's Kaviraj wasn't happy that, an exalted guest came to their house and was disrespected and went away. Dui Bai Ekatanu Samana Prakasha Nityananda Namana Tomara Habe Sarvanasha.
These two brothers, I told him, are like one body. They are identical manifestations. If you do not believe in Lord Nityananda, you will fall down.
So he's chastising his brother. Ekete Vishvasa Anyena Kara Sammana Ardha Kukuti Nyaya Tomara Pramana. Sneha?
Yeah. If you have faith in one but disrespect the other, your logic is like the logic of accepting half a hen.
So Prabhupada writes here in a footnote, a foolish farmer once thought he would save money by cutting off his hen's head, which he had to feed, and leaving its tail, which produced the eggs. Hence the term Ardha Kukuti Nyaya, literally half hen logic. So you can understand the folly in that, right?
Does it have a purpose?
No, I'm reading a footnote. So, yeah, obviously, You're thinking, oh, this head is costing a lot of money, I have to feed, but the back part of the hen is nice because it gives eggs, so I'll just chop off the front part. What happens? No more eggs because the hen's dead. So he's saying that if you accept Lord Chaitanya, but you don't accept Lord Nityananda, that's like the logic of half a hen because they're the same. They're like you can't have one without the other. Okay. Kimva donha na manina haota prasanda ekemani arina mani e matabanda Nikesh.
It would be better to be an atheist by slighting both brothers than a hypocrite by believing in one and slighting the other.
Yeah, so sometimes it's better to just not come at all. You know what I mean? Then come and make offenses.
Yeah.
Right? Better to just keep away. Like that's why the scriptures say that we should avoid people who are envious. People who are very envious towards our faith, our practices, and antagonistic. Better we just avoid them because if we interact with them, then they're going to just make so many offenses and criticisms and whatever insults. So it's better if they don't see us because then out of sight, out of mind, they won't make it. At least they won't make any offenses. He's saying, yeah, better just be an atheist. Just don't even talk about Lord Chaitanya or Nityananda. Just totally forget about them. Better that than be a hypocrite by sending one of them and accepting the other when actually they're inseparable. Krudha Vamshi Bangi Chale Ramadasa Tatkale Amara Bratara Haila Sarvanasa. Anna. You there, Hannah?
I'm here. Sorry, I had to click the unmute button. I'll just leave it off. Thus, Sri Ramadas broke his flute in anger and went away, and at that time my brother fell down.
Womp womp.
Was that literal fall down or physical fall down? Like,
he fell down from his platform of spiritual life, right? Like probably his spiritual purity became compromised in some sinful activities, or get carried away by his mind and senses after that. So yeah, this Caitanya Ramdas, he came with a flute. He used to play the bansuri flute, right? The bamboo flute. And then he got so disgusted with the situation. He was an invited guest, and he was dishonored, and then he just broke his flute and left. And after that, Krishna's his brother had some big problems in his spiritual life. Yeah, so that's what happens when we offend devotees. Insult or disrespect or neglect devotees, then it has very bad consequences for our spiritual lives, right? We lose our taste for spiritual practices, and our taste for materialistic activities, especially sinful activities, becomes increased. Right? Our attraction to materialistic life becomes strong. Because usually when we come to Krishna consciousness, then one of the first things that happens, and happens very quickly, is we become disinterested in material life. Right? We're no longer interested in movies and restaurants and going to clubs and pubs and whatever, So we just want to be with the devotees and serve Krishna and do kirtan, and right, we have a taste for those things. But when we offend devotees, then the opposite happens. We become disinterested in spiritual activities, right? Chanting seems boring. Classes are seem totally irrelevant to us. And on the other hand, the materialistic things become very interesting again. So that's one way of knowing whether we offended a Vaishnava. So that's what happened to this poor brother of Krishna's Kavya. Text 179. Eta kahila tanra sevaka prabhava hara eka kahitanra daya swabhava. Vrindavan Natbar.
I have thus described the power of the servants of Lord Nityananda. Now I shall describe another characteristic of his mercy.
Yeah, so now he's going to, so he's told us about what happens if you offend Lord Nityananda, and now he's going to say something, tell about a personal experience that happened with him, the way that Lord Nityananda was very merciful and kind to him. Baike Bart Sinu Muni Lana E Guna Seratre Prabhu More Dila Darashana. Ajit.
That night, Lord Nityananda appeared to me in a dream because of my good quality in chastising my brother.
So Lord Nityananda was like, well done. He told him. He told him off. Yeah, don't stand for that nonsense. Good job, you put your foot down. So yeah, the Lord is happy when we become intolerant of Vaishnava aparad. So that's one of the generally anger is considered to be an anartha, right? It's considered to be a bad quality, but anger can be used in Krishna's service when the Lord is offended or when the devotees are offended. And we actually should become angry. If we don't become angry, then there's something wrong with us, right? It means we're kind of like condoning it, like our silence means approval. So if somebody's blasphemes of Vaishnava, we should be like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? It's nonsense.
How do you discern between a healthy anger and one that could be detrimental to the situation?
Yeah. Well, it might be detrimental if you're a very new person. It's a senior devotee that said something, and then you kind of yelled at them or something. You could compound the conflict. So in that case, at least you can become internally angry and just walk away. Just be like, I don't want to hear it. Like just excuse yourself and don't listen to it. So that's good. Yeah, if we hear someone criticizing a devotee, especially if it's a senior devotee criticizing another devotee, then we just have to be like, all right, I'm out of here. Like, I don't want to take part in this. And that's the appropriate thing. Yeah. So there's different options. One thing is that we can, try to correct the person, be like, wait a minute, actually that devotee has some really good qualities, has some very redeeming qualities, like, this, that, and the other thing. We can try to counteract the offense or the criticism by praising the devotee different ways. And that might work. If it doesn't work, then better just leave.
I have a question on this.
Yes, Ajit.
So, what if we're in a situation where it's a senior devotee, like you've been practicing like decades in the movement, and
Yeah.
this devotee it's not criticizing, like trying to put down devotee, but is like saying things that as if it's fact, like okay, and it's talking about like a spiritual master, like a really exalted personality that has so many disciples, and he's like, oh, he did this, he did blah blah blah, and it's like, and it's really bad what the person is saying, and there's no record of it, you can't find it online, it's like I've never heard it before. And it's very disturbing, and I don't know. It's like, is this Vaishnava Prad? What am I supposed to do? This is like a senior devotee. Do I just leave? Like, what? How do you handle this situation? Like,
Yeah, just say something like, you know what, Prabhu, I don't think this is very good for my spiritual life to hear this right now, and I think I have to like go away and just process.
okay.
Just excuse yourself. And then that's good. If you say it like that, like I don't think this is very good for my bhakti. It's not nourishing my bhakti right now. Then you can say thank you for you know, seeing me as someone that you can confide in about whatever things are bothering you, but I just feel like this is not helping me, and I need to protect my spiritual life. So I'm gonna just excuse myself or ask you to talk about another subject, please.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Hannah?
I was just gonna say, I've only ever felt this way, like that I can remember once, and it's not a situation where you ever feel like, what am I supposed to do? The anger is very natural, and it's also like in this almost like instructive. Like he was instructive to his brother while simultaneously saying like that I don't want to hear this. So if it's like ever come if something is happening and you're like unsure of what to do, then better not say something. But if something comes up and you know what to say, then that might be Krishna guiding you within your heart to say something and defend him or his devotees, and it can be helpful to that person. Because once I was talking to a Muslim person and they were like, Krishna's not God. Krishna means this. And I was like, actually, no, Krishna means X, Y, and Z. And I started explaining Krishna consciousness. And that person ended up being so not offensive. They went to morning programs after that and read the Bhagavad Gita and were not offensive anymore. So sometimes that, like, like that feeling of like, do not say this could be great, but not everybody will obviously be receptive in that way either. But, anyways.
Yeah, so we can see, try to see the attitude of the person when they're saying it, because it may be that somebody comes along and says, I heard this about this person and just shares it with us, but they're also disturbed about it. And you'd be like, yeah, well, I don't know about the authenticity of the source of that information, but I do know that this devotee has like a lot of good qualities. They've done a lot of good service and they've helped me personally or whatever, say some good thing. And as far as the criticism, then we can look into that, but let's not talk about negative things unless it's actually confirmed facts. Otherwise, we can just end up harming our own spiritual lives and others. Okay, good. But if the person is just vehemently like, this person, but then you just like, all right, Prabhu, I got things to do. See ya.
Yeah, silence says a lot too.
Yeah. If you just sit there and listen to them, then they take that kind of like supports them, it kind of like it fuels their fire. So they got a captive audience. Okay. And sometimes it might just be coming from a place of envy, like it's somebody that they don't like for whatever reason. They got some, as the British say, they got a bee in their bonnet about that person. And now they found some substance, to criticize them, and they're going to broadcast that person's fault and try to get everyone to hate them and put the person down. Huh?
Most of the time, this is the case.
That's usually what it is, right? Yeah, like I don't like that person, and now I found out some new information about them, and I'm just going to make sure no one else likes them either. Yeah, that's envy. So we want to really avoid doing that kind of thing. And also, like when people are saying something about a devotee, see what their attitude is. Yeah, I was just reading a book here. There was some quotation from Bhaktivinoda Thakur that said that generally we shouldn't speak any criticism of a devotee, but if we're doing it in a way like as a well-wisher, like let's say if you're a senior devotee and you see a junior devotee who, did something wrong and maybe they're not even aware of it, you're like, oh, hey, I noticed that you have this habit and it's probably not very good for your spiritual life and something that maybe you need to work on. So it's like, okay, you're pointing out a fault, but it's with the intention of helping that person, right? Or helping others, like let's say if you're in a situation, you get to know of abuse. So that needs to be spoken about, right? You may not be the person, but you need to find someone who can address it because you want for the welfare of others, right? For the victims. So like that, sometimes we need to say negative things about people, but it should always be, with a mood of either helping the person or helping others, protecting others, or like that, and it should be handled appropriately. Not just gossiping, but going to the right person who can actually do something about it if that person is not us, so that things get handled appropriately. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Did we read text 180, the Bengali? I don't think so.
179.
Okay, let's do 180. Vaike Bartsinu Muni Lana E Guna Seratre Prabhu More Dila Darashana. Who's reading now? Is it
We read this one.
We read this one. Okay, so Lord Nityananda appeared in his dream. Oh yeah, he was approving of his chastisement of his brother. Naihate nikate jamata puranama grama tana swapne deka dila Nityananda Rama. Back to me then. In the village of Jamatapur, which is near Naihati, Lord Nityananda appeared to me in a dream. Purport. There is now a railway line to Jamatapur. if one wants to go there, he can take a train on the Katwa railway line and go directly to the station known as Salara. From that station, one can go directly to Jamatapur. So some of the purports here, Prabhupada takes from his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, actually comments on these pastimes, and he locates the places, like how to get there, kind of like a travel guide for how to get to these places. So one thing is we can actually visit those places because these are all places where, the Lord's pastimes took place. And the pastimes of the Lord are his pure devotees, and so there's benefit to visiting these places like a pilgrim and remembering the pastimes and like that. And then another thing is that it proves that these are actually real places. These are like real events that happened in real places that we can go to, that still exist. And it wasn't even that long ago. We're talking like just 500 years ago. And as time goes by, let's say 2,000 years from now, people are reading Caitanya Caritamrita and they're thinking, and maybe some of the names of these places also changed and things, and people might start thinking, did this actually happen? Is this just mythology? But so little purports like this are like, no, actually, these are real places that you can actually access on public transportation. So like that. This all happened. This is historical events. 182. Dandavadhaya ani padinu payete nija pada padma prabhu diva moramate.
I fell at his feet, offering my obeisances, and he then placed his own lotus feet upon my head.
So this is all happening in his dream. Lord Nityananda appeared in the dream, and Krishna's Kaviraj in his dream, he bowed down to him. Lord Nityananda put his lotus feet on his head.
Hi.
What a nice dream, right? And then he spoke. So this is what Lord Nityananda said. Utta utta bali more bale bara bara utti kanna rupa dekhi hainu chamatkara.
Arise, get up, he told me again and again. Upon rising, I was greatly astonished to see his beauty.
So he paid his obeisances and he was with his head on the floor. And then he said, get up! So he stands up and he's standing there face to face with Lord Nityananda. And he's like, oh my God, he's so beautiful.
Just like at 7 a.m. We are in front of Radha Kalachand. Oh my God.
Right? Yeah, something like that.
So next thing we have to do is if someone says we chastise them and
None of that. Yama chikana kanti prakanda sharira sakshat kandarpa yaiche mahamala vira.
he had a glossy blackish complexion and his tall, strong, heroic stature made him seem like Cupid himself.
A blackish complexion. Lord Nityananda was dark.
Yeah, no, it's dark.
Look, tall, strong, heroic, and as attractive as Cupid himself. Wow, Nityananda. Suvalita hastapada kamala nayana pattavastra shire pattavastra paridana. Who's reading?
He had beautifully formed hands, arms, and legs, and eyes like lotus flowers. He wore a silk cloth with a silk turban on his head. He's describing his dream.
Suvarna kundala karne swarnangadavala payete purabhaje kante pushpamala. Natvar?
He wore golden earrings on his ears, and golden armlets and bangles. He wore tinkling anklets on his feet and a garland of flowers around his neck.
Yeah. So, all the different ornaments that he's wearing. His tinkling ankle bells, glimmering golden jewelry all over.
We have him there.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't know they were ankles.
Yeah, the Lord always wears some ankle bells.
Bangles.
Actually, it is described in
some pastimes where some thieves try to steal their ornaments. It is described that they do.
From Levi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got the Chandana Lepita Anga Tilaka Sutama Matta Gaja Jini Mada Mantara Payana. I did.
I think I'm late. Which one is it?
187.
Okay. His body was anointed with sandalwood pulp, and he was nicely decorated with tilak. His movements surpassed those of a maddened elephant.
So he wasn't just standing there, he was moving. And he was moving in his ecstatic avadhuta ways, like a maddened elephant. In other words, very powerful movements. Koti Chandra Dini Mukha Ujjvala Varana Tadamba Bija Samadanta Tambula Tarvana. Neha?
Yeah. His face was more beautiful than millions upon millions of moons, and his teeth were like pomegranate seeds because of his chewing beetle.
Lord Nityananda. Wow. You know that red thing that people chew and spit?
Oh, and speak that one?
And it makes the teeth red. Yeah, they chew that stuff in Nepal, right?
Oh, is it trying to say it's like supari?
Oh, supari.
Yeah. Reme matta anga dahine rame dole Krishna Krishna balia gambira bola bale. Nikesh.
His body moved to and fro, right and left, for he was absorbed in ecstasy. He chanted Krishna, Krishna in a deep voice.
Krishna, Krishna.
Is he describing Lord Nityananda here or?
Yeah. Yeah, he's describing Nityananda. So he's standing there. It's in the dream, right? He's standing there just observing Lord Nityananda and just taking his beauty and all of his different details of his appearance. And Lord Nityananda is chanting Krishna, Krishna. Or maybe he's singing Krishna, Krishna. And he's moving, dancing in ecstasy while he's chanting.
Wow, we could hear. We've always heard about beauty, their pastimes, but we've never heard, like we've never got to know how Krishna spoke, his voice was like, or Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya, or Lord Nityananda.
It says that Krishna's voice is deep like thunder. Very deep, great.
It's very difficult to imagine.
Right? Ranga yashti haste dole yena mata singha chari pashe vedi ache charane te bringa. Divya.
Krishna, his red stick moving in his hand, he seemed like a maddened lion. All around the four sides of his feet were bumblebees.
So that's something that Lord Nityananda is known for is he has this red stick. Characteristic red stick. You know, so there in the picture. There it is. Because he's in the mood of a cowherd boy, so he carries a stick and sometimes he twirls the stick around, like in my Instagram post.
Oh, I don't follow you.
And and he's saying this is really cool. The bumblebees were flying all around his feet. So his feet must be very sweet. You know, they talk about the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord. Somehow his feet are fragrant and attractive. Parishada Gana Deki Sabagopaveshe Krishna Krishna Kahe Sade Saprema Aveshe. Hannah.
His devotees, dressed like cowherd boys, surrounded his feet like so many bees and also chanted Krishna, Krishna, absorbed in ecstatic love.
So apparently he wasn't alone. Lord Nityananda appeared surrounded by his devotees, and they were all dressed like cowherd boys, and they were also chanting Krishna, Krishna. Shingavamshi Bhajaya Keha Keha Nache Gaya Sevakaya Gaya Tambula Chamara Dulaya. Some of them played horns and flutes, and others danced and sang. Some of them offered betel nuts, and others waved chamara fans about him. So it's a whole scene there. It's like music, different associates of Lord Nityananda playing different musical instruments, and singing and dancing, and Lord Nityananda is also singing and dancing, and some of them are waving chamaras around him, the bumblebees away, but they're waving chamaras, and some of them are offering him more betel nuts to chew. Yeah, so it's, can you imagine just standing there and being like, oh, no, taking that all in. Nityananda Swarupera Dekiya Vaibhava Kivaruta Gunavila Alokika Sabha. Go ahead, Karan.
Thus I saw such opulence in Lord Nityananda Swarupa. His wonderful form, qualities, and pastimes are all transcendental.
Anande Vivala Ami Kichu Nahi Jani Tabe Hasi Prabhu More Kavilena Vani.
I was overwhelmed with transcendental ecstasy, not knowing anything else. Then Lord Nityananda smiled and spoke to me as follows.
Can you imagine? You're just standing there like so stunned in ecstasy, and then all of a sudden Lord Nityananda just smiles at you. Like his heart would be melting, right? And now he's going to speak. Okay, so let's see what he's going to say. Are Are Krishna Dasa Nakara Bhaya Vrindavane Yaha Tana Sarva Labhyahaya.
O my dear Krishnadas, do not be afraid. Go to Vrindavan, for there you will attain all things.
What an instruction, right? Don't worry, just go to Vrindavan. Everything is going to work out nice for you there. Ittabali Prerila More Hasasani Diya Antardana Kaila Prabhu Nija Ganalana.
After saying this, he directed me toward Vrindavana by waving his hand. Then he disappeared and with his associates.
Like, go to Vrindavan. He signals with the hand, and then all of a sudden, gone. Murchitaya Muni Padinu Bhumite Swapnadam Gahayadeshi Hanache Prabhate. Not far?
I fainted and fell to the ground. My dream broke, and when I regained consciousness, I saw that morning had come.
So in his dream, he fainted, just lying there, and then he woke up, and it was morning time. Videkinu Kishuninu Kariye Vichara Prabhu Agya Haila Vrindavana Yaivara. That's it.
I thought about what I had seen and heard and concluded that the Lord had ordered me to proceed to Vrindavan at once.
So he took the dream as very real. This was the Lord's instruction. It wasn't just some, interesting dream, but this was the direct instruction of the Lord. And then he decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this instruction on my head and follow it.
Wow.
Dekshane Vrindavane Karinu Gamana Pradura Kripate Sute Ainu Vrindavana. Sneha?
That very second, I started for Vrindavan, and by his mercy, I reached there in great happiness.
So as soon as he woke up, he was just like, that's it. I'm out of here. Lord Nityananda has given me the order. I'm going. That very second, right? No hesitation. I don't think he even told anyone. He just packed
He is
his
the
little
He forgot about his brothers often.
everything. Yeah. So that was Lord Nityananda's mercy. He got out of that. Otherwise, that was going to be just a tense family situation right after that whole altercation happened. Some hard feelings lingering. But you know what? I am going. Jaya Jaya Nityananda Nityananda Rama Yamara Kripate Panu Vrindavana Dama. Nikesh?
all glory to Lord Nityananda Balaram, by whose mercy I have attained shelter in the transcendental abode of Vrindavan.
Right, so you can see he's so grateful.
He was called to Vrindavan.
Yeah, he was definitely called to Vrindavan by the Lord himself. And he's writing this. He wrote the Caitanya Charitamrita in Vrindavan, right, on the banks of Radha Kund. So he's sitting there, and as he's writing this, he's thinking, Lord Nityananda changed my life. You know, he like saved me from that family entanglement. He brought me to this beautiful place where I have the association with the six Goswamis, where I'm just enriched by the dust of this holy land and so inspired in my bhakti. And by his grace, I'm able to write this transcendental literature glorifying him and Lord Chaitanya and all their associates.
So this Chaitanya Charitamrita is written by him, but this is translated by Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. So who's the Krishna's Kaviraj, the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, is narrating the story about what happened to himself. And he also recites the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, but he adds his personal experience to it. That's very sweet, right? It's like, the author of the book adds their own little personal story in there. So Jaya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Kripanaya Yana Haite Panu Rupa Sanatana Shraya. Divya?
All glory to the all glory to the merciful Lord Nityananda, by whose mercy I have attained shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana.
Yeah, he's thinking, if it wasn't for Lord Nityananda's mercy, for his order, for him appearing to me so mercifully in my dream, I would have never gotten the association of Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami. No, it's like, he's feeling so much gratitude. Yanha Haite Painu Raghunatha Mahashaya Yanha Haite Painu Shri Swarupa Ashraya. Anna?
Okay. By his mercy, I have attained the shelter of the great personality Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and by his mercy, I have found the refuge of Sri Swarup Damodar. Purport. Anyone desiring to become expert in the service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna should always aspire to be under the guidance of Swarup Damodar Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. To come under the protection of the Goswamis, one must get the mercy and grace of Nityananda Prabhu. The author has tried to explain this fact in these two verses.
Yeah, and this is also very significant that he was able to meet Raghunath Das Goswami and Swarup Damodar, because without them, he wouldn't be able to write this book. Because basically, everything that he knows about Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, all these pastimes, he heard from Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami, so because Raghunath Das Goswami was living there in Puri with Lord Chaitanya for many years, for the end part of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, Raghunath Das Goswami personally witnessed those, and Swarup Damodar was there even longer. He was a very, very intimate personal associate of Lord Chaitanya, and Swarup Damodar also kept diaries. So he was with Lord Chaitanya all day, like 24/7, basically. Very confidential associate of Lord Chaitanya, and he was taking notes about the Lord's pastimes, like whatever the Lord was doing, what he was feeling, what he was saying, all these things. And Raghunath Das Goswami was also there. So when Raghunath Das Goswami came to Vrindavan after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Lord Chaitanya disappeared, and very shortly after, Swarup Damodar also left this world because he couldn't live in the absence of the Lord. But Raghunath Das Goswami, he was alive, and he was like, I can't stay in Puri now that they're gone. I just need to go to Vrindavan and find the Goswamis and take shelter of Rupa Sanatan and others, and be in the association of people who I can really get some support from right now, really in a grief-stricken state. So he went there, and he was literally he was thinking also that to just end his life, I just want to go too. This is too much. And then Sanatan Goswami told him that what are you talking about? I think he confided, or Sanatana Goswami could understand that he was thinking of ending his life. Sanatana Goswami said, what are you thinking? You have all this information. You have all this experience. You had direct association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya. And, it's all in your mind and in your heart, and you're just going to leave? No, you need to share this. You need to, tell us what happened. Tell us all about it. So then, by the urging of Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami started having classes. He was having evening classes where he would sit there on the banks of Radhakund where he was living, and he would speak Gora Katha. He'd speak about Lord Chaitanya, and people would come. The local people would come here. And one of the people that would come here every day, very regularly, very, religiously, was Krishnadas Kaviraj. So Krishnadas Kaviraj learned all of these things from hearing from Raghunath Das Goswami. And from that, he compiled these pastimes with Chaitanya. So, yeah, and it was all by Lord Nityananda. See, this was all Lord Nityananda's arrangement, because he knew that Krishnadas Kaviraj was an intellectual, he was a scholar, he was a writer. And so because at that time, Raghunath Das Goswami was elderly. He was not in a situation where he was going to be writing all this. And so he knew, I'm going to send Krishnadas Kaviraj over there, and he's going to do the writing. He's a writer, he's an author, and he's going to do this work. So,
Was Swarup Damodar secretary of Chaitanya?
Yeah. Ajit?
So Swarup Damodar Goswami, from my reading of CC, seems like very, very important, very, very confidential associate. I don't hear so much about him unless I'm studying CC. Why is he not counted in the 6 Goswamis? Like, why is it not 7 Goswamis?
I mean, he basically was a Goswami, but the thing is, he didn't see all the Goswamis, or most of them, they were very influential on others, right? They opened temples, they wrote books, they were spiritual leaders. Whereas Swarup Damodar was just like the right hand man of Lord Chaitanya. He was kind of like he wasn't that kind of devotee. It's kind of like I was just thinking of Arjun. We have this devotee here in Dallas named Arjun Krishna Prabhu. So, he's not a scholar, he's not a writer, he's not a big preacher, he's not a leader, but he basically was with Tamal Krishna Maharaj 24/7 whenever Maharaj was here in Dallas. And he has such a deep heart connection with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, so much love, and Maharaj also loved him and trusted him. And so, if you want to know something about Tamal Krishna Maharaj, just go talk to Arjun Krishna Prabhu, right? But he's not going to write a book about it. He's not going to, it's just all in his heart. Yeah. So I feel like Swarup Damodar is that kind of devotee, right? That he was very, very intimate with Lord Chaitanya. He was always with him, because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, but he's in the mood of Radha. And Swarup Damodar was either Lalita or Vishaka in Vraja Leela. So, the relationship is just like Lalita and Vishaka are the constant companions and in confidential associates of Srimati Radharani. They're always supporting her and, befriending her and taking part in all the most confidential dealings with Krishna. So, like that. Yeah.
And I thought Sri Advaita Acharya was right hand of Lord Chaitanya. Was it when Lord Sri Chaitanya came to Vrindavan? Swarup Damodar, he was.
No, Swarup Damodar was with Lord Chaitanya and Jagannath Puri.
Oh.
Advaita Acharya stayed in Navadvip, Shantipur. He didn't go to Puri with the Lord. He was not a part of his Antya-lila. Not so much. The Lord would visit, when he would visit Navadvip or Shantipur, he would go to see Lord Advaita Acharya, but their relationship was different. And Lord Chaitanya had just a few associates with him in those last pastimes, where he was really, really getting deeply into the Radha Bhav. You know, he's having these very deep meditations and deep ecstatic emotions, you know. So that was, it was very private. What he was experiencing at that phase in his pastimes was very, very deep and personal and private, and wasn't known to many. But there were some that were always there and very clued in and really understood the Lord's mind, and in those, in his feelings, his heart, and Swarup Damodar was one of them. So, at that time, Rupa and Sanatan were in Vrindavan. And they were preaching and writing books and opening temples. And so that was the mission, right? So some devotees were more, see, there's the prayer, Sri Caitanya Manovishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutavan. So that's about Rupa Goswami, that Rupa Goswami understood the mind of Lord Chaitanya. And the way that he acted upon that understanding was to promote the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So some devotees, they were less missionary. They had less of a missionary spirit, but they just loved Lord Chaitanya. You know, they just with Lord Chaitanya. They weren't the preachers, and so they're going to go out there and make Lord Chaitanya's, you know, prophecies be realized. But they were personally supporting the Lord in his own pastimes and meditations and things. So there's a difference. Okay. But it does call him here, like he is called a Goswami, even in the purport. It says, anyone who wants to be expert in the service of Radha and Krishna should aspire to be under the guidance of Swarup Damodar Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. So he was a Goswami. I think he was a sannyasi. But yeah, he's not so known because he wasn't like a big spiritual leader the way the others were. I mean, it's just like now, like in ISKCON, we have some devotees that are big spiritual leaders, right? Like Jayapataka Swami, Radhanath Swami, you know, Bhakti Swami, like everybody knows those names. But then you have some devotees who are, you know, like Varshana Swami in New Vrindavan that just, you know, kind of keeps to himself, but he's just as advanced, you know, but he's just as, you know, he's like a Mahabhagavat, but he's not, he doesn't travel all over the world, you know, preaching and writing books and giving classes, and you know, he's not like famous on social media and all those things. So there's different kinds of devotees. They're all individuals, right? But yeah, it's saying that if we want to become expert in the service of Sri Radha and Krishna, then we really need to take guidance from these personalities, which means we need to study their books. So Rupa Goswami, we have Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidashamrita, which Prabhupada translated into English as Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. So we need to study those books. Sanatan Goswami gave us, we had Bhagavatamrita, Raghunath Das Goswami, we have different books like Manashiksha, Vilapa Kusumanjali, and so many prayers and songs and things that they wrote. Swarup Damodar Goswami. I think he might have some bhajans that he wrote or something like that. But anyways, we can, yeah, try to understand the mood of worship of Radha and Krishna from these personalities who are all very intimate servants of Radha and Krishna in Rajalila. Text 203. Sanatana Kripaya Painu Bhaktira Siddhanta Shripa Kripaya Painu Bhaktira Sapranta. By the mercy of Sanatan Goswami, I have learned the final conclusions of devotional service, and by the grace of Rupa Goswami, I have tasted the highest nectar of devotional service. So now he's getting to some specifics about what he learned from these personalities. Sri Sanatan Goswami Prabhu, the teacher of the science of devotional service, wrote several books, of which the Brihat Bhagavatamrita is very famous. Anyone who wants to know about the subject matter of devotees, devotional service, and Krishna must read this book. So, must read the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Sanatan Goswami also wrote a special commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam known as the Dashama Tipani, which is so excellent that by reading it, one can understand very deeply the pastimes of Krishna and his exchanges of loving activities. Another famous book by Sanatan Goswami is the Hari Bhakti Vilas, which states the rules and regulations for all divisions of Vaishnavas, namely Vaishnav householders, Vaishnav brahmacharis, Vaishnav vanaprasthas, and Vaishnav sannyasis. This book was especially written, however, for Vaishnav householders. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami has described Sanatana Goswami in his prayer, Vilapa Kusumanjali, verse 6, where he has expressed his obligation to Sanatana Goswami in the following words. Let's read the translation. I was unwilling to drink the nectar of devotional service, possessed of renunciation. But Sanatana Goswami, out of his causeless mercy, made me drink it, even though I was otherwise unable to do so. Therefore, he is an ocean of mercy. He is very compassionate to fallen souls like me, and thus it is my duty to offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. So it seems that Sanatana Goswami encouraged Raghunath Das Goswami to take to the renounced order of life. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also, in the last section of the Caitanya Charitamrita, specifically mentions the names of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Jiva Goswami, and offers his respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of these three spiritual masters, as well as Raghunath Das. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami also accepted Sanatana Goswami as the teacher of the science of devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami is described as the Bhakti Rasa Acharya, or one who knows the essence of devotional service. His famous book, Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, is the science of devotional service, and by reading this book, one can understand the meaning of devotional service. Another of his famous books is the Ujjvala Nilamani. In this book, he elaborately explains the loving affairs and transcendental activities of Lord Krishna and Radharani. So, Srila Prabhupada is one. He's glorifying these devotees for their achievements, their literary achievements, but he's also recommending that we avail ourselves of these books. Right, the Goswamis wrote them not to just sit on the shelf or in some archive somewhere, but to be read. So meant to be read by devotees, and we can take the blessings of, as we should first read Srila Prabhupada's books and read books about Srila Prabhupada to understand our connection with our most recent Acharya, our grandfather Guru, Srila Prabhupada, and understand the basic, the main Shastras, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya Charitamrita, and then after we've read these foundational Shastras and established our relationship with Srila Prabhupada, both personally by learning about him and his life and his activities, and also philosophically by understanding his teachings, then we can take the blessings of our gurus and read these books and build on that foundation. Okay.
I had a question about this.
Yes.
Hari Bhakti Vilas, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I may have read Prabhupada say somewhere that it's more so meant for certain kind of devotees maybe from India or something. I may have dreamed this, I don't know, because sometimes time, place, circumstance is kind of hard to apply all the teachings of Hari Bhakti Vilas like in our life here.
Yeah, that's right. Hari Bhakti Vilas, actually, I heard that Sanatana Goswami wrote the Hari Bhakti Vilas just to, he wrote it for the sake of these Smarta Brahmins. Smarta Brahmins are a class of Brahmins in India who are very attached to the rules and regulations and kind of nitty-gritty details of the scriptures and all the ceremonies and rituals and things like that. So in the early days, when Lord Caitanya introduced Gaudiya Vaishnavism, he emphasized the chanting of the holy names, and he gave the holy names to everyone without considering who's qualified, who's unqualified. And he said that there are no hard and fast rules for chanting these names. So Lord Caitanya was not like big on, he did teach, certain principles, regular principles of devotional service and things, but he wasn't like a big rule pusher. Because he knew that in Kali Yuga, people don't like rules, and they really just need to get the essence, and they need a process that just works in any time, place, and circumstances for anyone. Because Kali Yuga is difficult, and if everything is going to be dependent on rules and standards and this and that, and then no one's going to be able to do it. So the way the manner in which Lord Chaitanya introduced Krishna consciousness, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, was very open. was very open, very inclusive. It was very accessible. But the Smarta Brahmins didn't like it at all. Like they hated it, actually. They were like really upset that Lord Chaitanya was giving the Hare Krishna mantra to, untouchables, people outside the caste system, and so they considered unqualified. They were very threatened by it. So, Sanatana Goswami was very, very intelligent. He was like, I mean, he worked for the king because he was so expert in dealing with people. He was a diplomat. And so when Sanatana Goswami could see the danger that the antagonism of the Smarta Brahmins would cause for Gaudiya Vaishnavism, he thought, all right, I need to pacify these people. So then he took the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and he basically made a rule book. That's what the Hari Bhakti Vilasa is, basically a book full of rules and rituals and standards, for Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But most of them, he basically just wrote it for the sake of satisfying these Smarta Brahmins that we have rules too. It's not an absolute free for all. Don't worry. There are standards and we do have regulations and all these things just like you do. So, but when Srila Prabhupada introduced Krishna consciousness, he didn't give us the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Right? And he specifically said, like, when Prabhupada very slowly introduced some, rules and standards into ISKCON, and he kept it to a minimum. And then, even then, his Western disciples who were like coming from hippie background, a lot of them, in the 60s and 70s, they're just like, Prabhupada, there are so many rules. And then Prabhupada said at that time, he said, if I told you all the rules, you would faint. I'd just be done. So yeah, he was all the rules you can find there in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. But since Srila Prabhupada didn't establish all those rules as operational rules for ISKCON devotees, then we don't worry too much about it. So yeah. Yeah, it's like when you write a book, you write for different audiences, and depending on the audience, you're going to present it in a certain way, right? Like, for example, Cody just asked me to write a book that would be good for distributing on the street to people who are Christians, introducing Krishna consciousness to people who are Christians, and maybe not, wildly open to Krishna consciousness, but they need some way to, open their minds. Yeah. So I've been thinking about that, and
Yeah, it is a big deal.
I started writing a few things, and I was thinking that this.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, but it's very different, right? Because it's very different from a book that I would write for devotees, or So yeah.
But we do need that book.
Yeah, it's very needed, right? And I'm surprised we
Yes.
don't have something like it
Yes.
yet, considering that Prabhupada's movement is, trying to preach the Western world, and a lot of the Western world people are Christians. Anyways, yeah, so, but that book is not for devotees, so I wouldn't recommend that for like practicing devotees, because that's not the right audience. So the same way Hari Bhakti Vilas Sanatana Goswami wrote for the Smarta Brahmins, so we don't have to read that. If we read it, we're probably going to end up feeling really disturbed, like, oh my God, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna like suffer in hell for all the things that I'm not doing.
When I was listening to Prabhupada talk, he says like they're pretty much hung up on their daily bread.
The Christians?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give us, dear God, please give us bread. And then the problem with that is that, yeah, when I was in England, I was like distributing books, and I met this Christian lady one time, and she's like, yeah, like in this country, most of us believe in God, but we basically feel like he's irrelevant to our lives. And I was like, how can you say that? And he said, well, because we have everything we need, so we don't really need to talk to him. It's like the only reason you would pray is to ask for something that you need. So therefore, if you have everything material that you need, then you don't need God. That was her whole attitude. And I was like, are you kidding me? She's like, no, that's like basically the attitude of most Christians in this country. We believe in God, but we feel like, we're quite fine without him.
Oh, Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral.
Yeah. He doesn't even care about the material. When people approach him for bread, he's just like, oh, sheesh, really? He's like, let the laws of karma deal with that. I'll be, paying attention to my devotees who actually want to love me.
I have a lot of Christian friends. I used to go to church earlier, and they are very open. If you would need their help, talk to them. They would be very happy.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Did I finish the purport? Yeah. All right. So we are actually at 5 o'clock now, so we're gonna have to stop. But this was a nice discussion. All right. Any closing thoughts or questions?
Appearance of Nityananda that we heard for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Lord Nityananda's appearance is coming up soon, right? Like,
With the dreams, is that have you heard anyone talk about dreams they've had of the Lord, and are they similar to this passing out and waking up thing?
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm sure devotees have had dreams of the Lord. I mean, we hear about it in scriptures, right? Like Madhavendra Puri and different, yeah. I often hear like pujaris have dreams of the Lord because they're close to the Lord. Sometimes the deity appears in a dream and gives them some instruction or something like that.
I got a dream. I shared it.
Oh, you had a dream of Krishna?
Of Radha Kalashani.
Oh.
And I saw just the day before he wore that white dress with the flower print, and
Yeah.
I dreamt about it just the day before, and when we went for singing the prayer, I was so shocked. I just dreamt about it the previous day.
So in the dream, he was wearing that outfit. And then
Yeah.
he went to darshan and he was wearing the outfit.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow.
I always have these dreams in the Himalayas, but then I had this one where it was like green, and there's this small little shrine made of white marble, and then to the right of it, there's a little marble fireplace, and there were two yogis sitting there. There was Swami Rama and Bengali Baba, and then I looked at them. And I closed my eyes and I passed out. And then I woke up and it was Krishna and Lakshmi.
Oh.
And then I looked again and I passed out. And then I looked again and I was looking right into Krishna's eyes. It was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And then he said, wake up, Shiva. And it was crazy was I had this experience like about 6 years ago where I drowned in the ocean. And just like they say, we come out of Vishnu's body. I, for some reason, said at that point, I said, Om Namah Shivaya. It was my last words at that point.
When you were drowning.
Yeah, and I actually went into the body of Shiva. I was in this complete stillness, and then my soul essence left through his navel and went to the light, which I was not Krishna conscious at that time, so I didn't know. But then it said, now is not your time. And to me, it feels like I need to wake up from this material world if I'm in the body of Shiva.
It's pretty far out. Yeah, I mean, we all need to wake up. Jeev Jago, you are Chandra. Song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that we're all sleeping in the lap of the witch called Maya, an illusion, right? Thinking that we're this body, thinking that this world is our home, thinking that our family members are actually our eternal, family members, and forgetting Krishna. So we need to wake up from this dream, which is, like a nightmare, and understand who we really are, what our role is eternally in the service of Krishna.
I have a question about that. So, Prabhupada says, like a true devotee only wishes to serve the Lord, does not wish to join him in Vrindavan. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Is that essentially saying like we can find that sacred space no matter which planet we're on? It's always there and it's within us eternally. Is that?
I mean, the idea is that the devotee doesn't want to go back to Godhead just for their own like enjoyment.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But we want to serve Krishna wherever Krishna wants us to serve him.
Right.
But Krishna wants us to go back to Godhead. He doesn't want us to stay in the material world.
Okay.
Generally, he might, if someone's like a empowered preacher, and he might ask them to come to the material world or stay in the material world for the sake of preaching or something like that. But then that person is going to be on such a high level of consciousness that they're basically in Vrindavan wherever they are, by dint of their consciousness. Because they're always just Krishna conscious, and wherever there's actually Krishna, that's Vrindavan. So for them, it's not different. But for us, us in this material world, we're in Maya, So we don't want to stay in the material world in Maya. We want to serve Krishna in the best situation for serving Krishna, which is generally the spiritual world. Because there's no risk of falling down, becoming contaminated, or getting bad association. So generally, we want to go back home, back to Godhead, but for the purpose of serving Krishna in the optimal environment for that service. But if Krishna wants us to stay, we can also stay, because it's not about our happiness, it's about what pleases Krishna.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna ki jai. Lord Nityananda ki jai.
Jai.